Okay guys, I'm going to make a batch of soap today. I'm going to make another half batch. The reason why I'm only making a half batch is because I still have one of my molds curing. So I only have one mold to fill. So I'm just going to make another half batch. I'll be using this for larger batches, the 16 quart. But I'm going to use it in this case too because I want to use this pot only for soap making. So I'm also going to need my sodium hydroxide, some gloves, various plastic cups that I'm using to measure stuff out in. I need a scale that measures ounces fairly accurately. I have a digital scale coming, so I'm excited about that. This is a glass jar that I'm going to be mixing my lye and water. I've got a thermometer that I'm using just for the lye water, and then a candy thermometer that I use for my oil. I've got coconut oil, palm oil, castor oil, shea butter, and I'm going to get out my olive oil here in a minute. I have some Earl Grey tea that I'm going to be adding, and some blueberry seeds. So, yeah. So, I'm going to measure out all my oils, and then I'll be back. Okay, now I've weighed out all of my oil, and it's in the stock pot, and I've put the heat on low. Now I've put my gloves on, and I'm going to be using my sodium hydroxide. Please, please, please wear gloves. We're in a well-ventilated area. I've already measured out 7 ounces of water. And I need 3.5 ounces of sodium hydroxide. I'm very carefully measuring it. And the container I'm using, I only use for this purpose. And I keep this scoop in the container so that I know that that's the only thing that this scoop is going to come in contact with. Got my thermometer ready. You've got something to stir with. I'm going to be using the handle end of my wooden spoon so that it doesn't clump as bad. Okay. I'm using a glass spaghetti sauce jar. You want to use glass if you can, or metal. You don't really want to, I wouldn't recommend using plastic because this shit gets hot. So I'm going to slowly pour this in, very slowly, making sure that it's going to fully dissolve. You don't want clumps. So I usually take a second and stir, and then add a little more. Now I'm going to take its temperature. I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably not. But it's a little over, steaming up, 180 degrees. And that's definitely hotter than we want it. Oh, I've laid paper towels about 3 layers thick on my work surface. so that way when I clean up, I know that everything is good to go. So now that I've got this mixed, I'm a little more confident. You can leave your gloves on until you're totally done. I'm going to take my gloves off and set them aside. So now I'm going to add my Earl Grey tea to this water while it's really, really hot. It's going to basically brew the tea for me. And the water is so hot that it's like instantly brewing. So when the temperature of my lye water reaches, when it comes down to 120 degrees, I will be right back. Okay, as you can see, the Earl Grey tea that I added about a tablespoon to my lye mixture. It's gotten very dark, which is exactly what I want, because the particular soap that I'm making, I'm calling it blueberry tea cake. It's at 125 degrees, and my oil is also at 125 degrees. So I'm going to get started mixing it. I don't... Okay, yeah, you guys can see down in there, right? For the most part. I'm going to pour in very carefully my lye water mixture. And then I'm going to put that jar in the sink and run cold water in it for a few minutes. Get to stirring my oil and lye. As you can see, it's pretty translucent now, but it's gonna get cloudy here in a minute. And what I do usually is I mix it by hand like this for a couple minutes, and then I have a beater that I use only for my soap. Just one, I don't need both beaters. And then I'll beat it with my beater a little bit, and it's getting thick really quickly, which is what I want. I mean, I don't want it to be too quick, but basically I'll be sitting here and I'll be stirring this for about 15 minutes, and you guys don't, need to see all that. So I'm going to mix this a little bit more, and then I'll come back.